Hey, this is Dr. Priyanka Venugopal, and you're listening to the Unstoppable Mom Brain Podcast, How to Lose Weight in Perimenopause. Today's podcast episode is going to be a deep dive into the science and the mindset for how you can really amplify your results on burning fat, losing the weight you want, and really having sustainable results for the rest of your life, even when you are in perimenopause. I'm going to get into defining the difference between menopause, perimenopause, and when you're not in either of those phases. I'm going to be walking you through why it is important to understand the science of how your body is going to burn fat as you enter perimenopause. I'm going to talk to you about the 3 specific strategies, actual strategies that I recommend for you to amplify your results no matter how old you are. Just because you're in your 40s, because you're in perimenopause, or even entering menopause, that is not a reason that you cannot lose the weight you want, to burn the fat that you want, to build muscle. And today's podcast episode is going to really walk you through what I have seen in my experience, both as a coach that coaches on this concept and as a board certified physician. So today I'm actually really putting on my hat, my physician hat, so that we can really dive into the science of fat loss so that you never feel like your age is ever the reason that you're not going to lose the weight that you want to lose. I want my audience, I want my clients out of gimmicks and fads. I don't want you to think you have to cut out every single carb, that you have to count every single point to lose the weight you want. I want you to feel inspired that it is not just possible, but it is guaranteed that you can lose the weight you want, that you can burn the fat that you want, no matter what age you are, no matter what your hormonal status is, that you can actually hit your dream body goals. And I'm going to be honest with you on this podcast. I really pride myself on keeping it real with you here on this podcast. I know my clients experience me really keeping it real with them in our coaching experience in the Unstoppable group, because I would be doing you such a disservice if I just painted a picture of rainbows and daisies. I think that that is just such a lie to tell women that it is always easy. It is always simple. If you just follow my 1, 2, 3 step-by-step process, it's just easy to lose the weight you want. That's not real. You're a smart, resourceful human, woman, working mom. You would have already done this. If it was easy 100% of the time, I promise you, you would have solved this yesterday. It is not easy 100% of the time, but I do promise you that it is in fact simple. Also, this podcast episode applies to you no matter what age you are. It is, of course, geared for you if you're in your late 30s, 40s, and 50s. If you're thinking about entering perimenopause, if you're smack in the middle of it, even if you're menopausal, this episode is going to apply for you. But even if you're not yet perimenopausal, I want you to keep your ears open, because just learning the information on this podcast is going to help prepare you mentally and physically. You can start applying actually some of the skills and tools we're going to talk about into your journey right now, so you can amplify your results before you enter perimenopause. So really, this episode is for any age. It applies to anyone, but it's really, really geared for my ladies that are in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, or just thinking about how to best support themselves as they enter perimenopause and menopause. And also, before we dive into today's podcast episode, I want to make sure you know we have an amazing masterclass coming to you on Monday, June 24th. It is called The 3 Proven Steps to Consistent Weight Loss Results. This masterclass is going to walk you through my 3-step process to burn fat, burn stress, and drop drama from your weight loss journey. It is the 3-step process I wish I had 5 to 10 years ago when I was struggling on the roller coaster, when I was at my personal heaviest at over 200 pounds. I felt so frustrated with trying to lose weight. I had tried all the fads, all the gimmicks, all the point trackers, all the exercise things. And yes, it worked, but it didn't last. If you have ever felt like I just want consistent results, this is going to be the masterclass for you. You can go and reserve your seat over at theunstoppablemombrain.com/masterclass. And I will email you all of the details, the Zoom link, and an invitation to a private Facebook group where I'm going to be coming in and delivering value for you to get the most out of your masterclass experience. I cannot wait to see you in that class. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's episode, how to burn fat and lose weight in perimenopause. This is the topic that is truly near and dear to my heart. I remember when I was in clinical practice as an OBGYN physician, I'm going to tell you the top 3 complaints that I would see from my patients between the ages of 35 and 55 were threefold. Dr. Venugopal, I don't know what's going on, but I am gaining weight, I'm feeling fatigue, and I have low libido. These were my top 3 complaints that my patients would come to me with. This is a conversation I probably had thousands of times with my patients in clinical practice. And as a physician, I was really in this unique experience where I got to kind of go behind the curtain with what so many of you are experiencing medically, where, you've had your kids and you've noticed that you're in this phase of life where you are just feeling tired. You're feeling like weight loss has become surprisingly all of a sudden really, really challenging. If that's you, number one, if I'm able to describe you, it means that you're not alone in this. Nothing is wrong with you. This is just a normal season of life that you're in, and there's a way out. Before we get into how do you lose weight after having kids? How do you lose weight when you're entering late 30s, early 40s, and into your 50s? How do you get science on your side? I just want to first define the 3 different phases that you might find yourself in. So the very first phase, when you are a young woman, when you are in your 20s and 30s, you are not in perimenopause. You're just in your normal reproductive years. This looks like you're having a regular period every single month. You're ovulating regularly. You have regular cycles. You might notice you might have some symptoms related to your cycles. Maybe you have some PMS. Maybe you have some weight gain just associated with your cycles. Nothing is going wrong here. You might not actually know what your cycles are like if you're on hormonal birth control or contraceptives. Maybe you're an IUD or a pill or a patch. But needless to say, you are getting regular cycles, you're ovulating regularly. The next phase, and this is really where this podcast episode is really geared for, is when you are in your late 30s into your 40s, you might start to experience symptoms of perimenopause. Perimenopause is defined as the period before menopause. It's a transitional period between your reproductive years and your years in menopause where your periods and your ovulatory status becomes irregular. So maybe you skip a period, or you get 2 back to back, or you have a light period and then a really heavy period and then some spotting in between. Those years can be quite frustrating because you cannot regulate. You're not sure of when you're going to get your period unless you are put on a birth control pill or some type of a hormonal contraceptive. But it is also associated with other symptoms. It's not just these irregular periods, irregular ovulation. You might notice mood changes. You might feel some memory changes like brain fog. You might notice excess weight gain or difficulty losing weight. You might experience more weight around the belly, more belly fat. You might feel a lot more fatigue, a lot more stress, and that's going to be a key piece that we talk about today. And then, of course, the third phase is actual menopause. Menopause doesn't actually require lab work to diagnose. It is simply 12 consecutive months, 12 months in a row of not getting a period. So you will know that you're in menopause if you have had no period for 12 months and it's not because you're on a hormonal pill or hormonal contraceptive. It is simply 12 months of no period, you're in menopause. Now, why does it matter? What is even why am I even recording this podcast? Why are hormones relevant? What happens between the ages of 30 to 40 as you kind of enter perimenopause? Your hormones are changing. So this is number one, not an episode for you to run off and get your labs checked by your physician. This is simply to educate you on the science and the physiology of your body to understand what is the role that estrogen is playing in your body. That's the key hormone that is playing a role in terms of your perimenopausal status, menopause status, and absolutely with why weight loss and fat loss feels really challenging. After the age of 35, women are losing muscle mass at an alarming rate. This is just with no change at all. So if you are just going about your day in your 20s, early 30s, you're just chilling, doing your thing, things are generally stable. But after the age of 35, with no changes in your routine, your body starts to lose muscle mass, even if nothing changes in your day-to-day lifestyle. This is normal. It's one of those things where, you might not have thought about this when you were younger. We have this kind of invincibility I'm an invincible person when we're really young, when we're children. We don't imagine ourselves entering these seasons of our life as our body is changing, as our body physiology is changing. But I'm here to really have us all accept the reality that our body is going to change as seasons of our life change. There is absolutely a role for hormone replacement therapy. That's something you can discuss with your physician for how to really help, give you estrogen or progestin if that is something that is relevant for you. That's a medical conversation. But what I'm here to kind of talk you through is how the changes in your body's physiology, the normal changes that you're going to experience, how we can navigate that with nutrition and exercise. Now, just because our estrogen levels are changing and our body is losing muscle mass does not mean that this is a free pass for us to become complacent or to not dream about hitting our dream goals. I'm going to break down the different steps that I find to be really relevant for women in this age group. And I want you to, as you're listening to this podcast episode, think about how you can take what I'm saying and apply it into your life. The very first phase, I want to call this just like an umbrella is to prepare for perimenopause in your mind and start changing your strategy or tweaking your strategy to prepare your body for it. It doesn't matter if you're in your 40s and if you're already menopausal, you can still start doing this right now. But the younger you are, the more time you have on your side to prepare your body for perimenopause. There are 3 pieces under this umbrella that I want to talk to you about that is strategic to how you can burn fat and lose the weight you want to create the body composition that you want, even as your hormones are changing. The very first one is to build muscle. I want us all to stop spending hours and hours on the treadmill, doing all the cardio, like hours and hours a week, and start focusing on building muscle. I want you to remember what I was sharing with you at the middle of this episode when I was telling you that after the age of 35, our bodies are losing muscle mass. We can actually protect ourselves now and actually create a lot of strength for ourselves in the long run when we start building muscle and strength training now. Step 2 is to have the right nutrition strategy to match your strength training regimen. So it's not just enough to clock hours at the gym. I cannot tell you how often I made this mistake myself, how often I see my clients making this mistake, how often I see even a lot of you. I've talked with so many of you, you're clocking hours and hours at the gym, but you're not seeing the scale move. It's because your nutrition is not matching your goals. Your nutrition is not matching your exercise regimen. This is, again, something we're going to talk about in detail in the masterclass. Make sure you grab your seat and come live. But just clocking an hour at the gym every single day is not going to help you build muscle. You have to have a nutrition strategy for the other 23 hours of your day to support your muscle building. I have seen so many women, and I made this mistake myself, when you are under eating the right nutrition, you can be clocking an hour at the gym. You could be doing all the strength training, doing all the lifting, doing all the dumbbells and the barbells. Your body will break down muscle. Even if you're spending an hour at the gym strength training, if you're not giving your body adequate nutrition. Let me just say that part again. Your body will break down muscle. And remember, you're already losing muscle. It will break down muscle, even if you're strength training, even if you're exercising, if you're not giving your body adequate nutrition, which is bananas. This just goes to show that calories in, calories out is not actually the only way. It's not a surefire way to lose the weight you want. We have to make sure that you're getting enough of the right nutrition to support your body, to support your hormonal pathways, to support muscle building, to support fat loss, which is why nutrition is the number one way to burn fat. So the whole point of this whole entire umbrella that we're talking about, preparing for perimenopause, as you get into perimenopause, is really to reframe what it would look like to start building muscle in small ways and to have a nutrition strategy that supported your strength training regimen. The last piece that I want to share, the last piece of the strategy under this umbrella, is to prioritize this. I cannot tell you, and I know because this was me last year. I turned 40 last year, like a light bulb turned off in my mind. This might be many of you, you're like 38, 39, you're about to turn 40. I turned 40 last year, and all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, Priyanka, we've lost all this weight, but we are not strong. I felt like I had lost a lot of weight. My percent body fat had not really dropped because of exactly what I'm sharing with you on here. I lost muscle mass as I lost all of the weight that I lost. I lost over 60 pounds, and I also lost muscle. I think it is so important that we educate ourselves about this, because just losing weight, seeing the number on the scale come down, I don't want that for you. I don't want you to be skinny on the outside and not skinny on the inside. So this is, again, something that I am, as you can tell, deeply passionate about. We have to start prioritizing this. Step 3 is something that I had to learn the lesson. Every time I learn a lesson, I have always had to learn it the hard way, where I realized, okay, I've lost a lot of weight, but I'm not strong. And I want to invest in my body, this one body that I have for the rest of my life. I need to invest in her. My muscles and my bones are my retirement account. Let me just say that one again. Your muscles, your bones, your body is your retirement account, right? Investing in our body, in our bones, in our muscles, in dropping the fat that we want to burn is an investment, and we cannot wing it. The hugest mistake that I made last year, which is why I didn't hit my fitness goal, I've talked about that a lot on this podcast. I didn't hit my fitness goal last year, was because I did not have a strategy that I prioritized. I tried to squeeze myself into my busy working mom life. I wanted to, amplify my results in my business. I wanted to amplify my results at home. I wanted more for my kids. Soccer took over, swimming practice took over, the random life challenges, the obstacles that came my way, every wrench that could get thrown into my year last year got thrown into my year. And the number one thing to go was my body goal. Somehow, again, this is you. If you find yourself always delaying your personal body goals because life feels busy, you are not going to get the results you want on the scale or for your body. So if this is again you, if I'm describing you, you're not alone. This is something that I have done. I see high achievers in every industry, professional working moms constantly deprioritizing their personal body goal because life feels busy, because something new is happening. But I'm here to tell you, if you're a professional working mom, you are also someone that is always going to be in a certain season of busy. Maybe it's summer vacation coming up right now. You have lots of trips planned. Then all of a sudden we're going to be into the fall where it's a new school year, and then it's going to be the holidays, and then it's going to be spring again. We're thinking about the next summer. Our life, and I'm telling you this because I woke up one day and I remember thinking, this was a few years ago. I woke up one day at 200 pounds. This was in 2019. And I thought, what is happening? Where did the last 10 years ago? How did I gain 60 pounds over 10 years? How is it that my life has been passing me by? And I'm sitting here feeling uncomfortable in my body. I'm going off on a little rant. This is a little bit of a side tangent. I don't even have notes today because I just feel so passionate about this. If we want more for ourselves, if we want more for our body, if we want more for our personal and professional lives, we have to make a change. This means we have to do the work of prioritizing this goal in our life. It means we have to start putting ourselves first. And I promise you, what I have seen time and time again, I see this with my clients who are getting fire results in the Unstoppable group. When you prioritize yourself, you will show up better in the workplace. At home, you will get more results in your profession and personal life. I know that I experienced this. So step 3 in this whole entire umbrella is prioritize your goal. Stop winging your strategy. Telling yourself that you have a busy or unpredictable or hectic schedule is a very convenient, compelling, and convincing way to keep your status quo. And this really circles back to the point that I was making at the start of this episode. It is not always easy to prioritize your body goal. It is sometimes tricky, it is sometimes challenging, but this is a problem worth solving. So just in summary, umbrella number 1, because I went off on a tangent, is the 3-step strategy to prepare your body for perimenopause, or if you're in perimenopause, the specific strategy that you have to start implementing. And that is really focusing on building muscle. Step 2 is having a nutrition strategy that matches your time at the gym. So the hours you're clocking are actually doing something for you. You're not just wasting time. And step 3 is prioritizing your goal, no matter how busy or hectic your life feels. Let's get into umbrella number 2. This is the mindset piece. And next week's episode is going to talk to you in more detail how to create a success mindset to hit your goals, guarantee hitting your goals. But I want to kind of paint a point in this episode because I have talked with so many of my friends who are also in their 40s. I have talked with so many of you. I have talked with my clients, and there is a mindset shift that has to happen for you to actually create results with what I shared under umbrella number 1. This is completely a mindset piece. And that mindset is to believe without a shadow of a doubt that it is 100% possible to lose weight and burn fat at any age. Now, I want to share with you personally, I don't regret very much in my life. I generally have a philosophy of every mistake and fail that I have ever made, and I have made every single one when it comes to weight loss and burning fat. Every single mistake and fail that I've ever had, I have truly learned from. But if there's one regret that I have, one little wish, it would be that I had started strength training earlier, 10 years ago. I wish that I had started strength training earlier and really investing in my bone health and muscle health earlier. The reason that I say this is because building muscle is going to burn fat. It's going to improve your bone health. It's going to improve your vitality and your ability to live the kind of life you want. I talk with so many of my clients and a lot of you. And when I ask you, like, what is it that you envision for yourself? If you could flash forward 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what is your dream vision? And a lot of you have told me it's not just seeing the number on the scale come down. It's you want to have a vitality. You want to be able to run after your kids and your grandkids late into your later years. You want to be able to run up a flight of stairs, grab the groceries in and out of your car. You want to feel strong. And what I have really uncovered, and this is something I just didn't pay attention to in my 30s, I took it for granted that I had a young body and that I was able to lose weight fairly simply. I took for granted that strength even mattered. One of the biggest reasons that I did this was because I told myself, I don't love to exercise. If this is you, you're not alone. This was me too. But focusing on building muscle now in really small and simple ways with the right nutrition is setting you up for success tomorrow. And I have to call myself out and I want to call you out too. I do this with so much love and so much tenderness. Don't tell yourself that you don't like exercise. That's like saying you don't want to invest in your retirement account. Now, the reason that you might not like exercise, and I can tell you my reasons for not loving exercise for so many years, was because it felt like a lot. I'm going to put this in air quotes. It felt like I had to clock hours and hours at the gym, do really hard things, sit on the treadmill, do boring things that I just didn't want to do. And as a busy professional mom who's already doing a million things that I didn't feel like doing, the idea of hitting the gym and being bored at the gym was literally the last thing that I wanted to do. Now, I am someone that will always tell you, I've said it on this pod a million times, you don't have to work out to lose weight. It is simply one success variable that is going to set you up for success in menopause, in perimenopause. Building muscle in tiny ways is going to set you up for success because muscle burns fat. What I learned a few years ago is that I didn't have to clock an hour at the gym every day on the treadmill, which was literally my worst nightmare. I realized that I could actually find exercises and small group training programs and personal trainers that actually made strength training so much fun. I started really small. I started with 30 minutes, just 3 times a week, and then I started to work my way up. And here's what happened. As I started getting stronger, as I started seeing results, as I started seeing my body change, I started to have more fun. I want you to know that you can invest in your body's bank account, which is burning fat and building muscle, strengthening your bones, improving your vitality, improving your energy in as little as 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times per week. It doesn't have to be intimidating machines or hours and hours on the treadmill. It can actually be fun, but the key is to prioritize whatever you choose to be consistent with your effort. When you tell yourself, I hate exercise, and I know because I did this, you will look for all the evidence to make it true. A much more useful thought is actually getting your brain on board. When you flash forward 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you imagine that dream body goal that you have, where you've lost the weight, burned the fat, built muscle, and supported yourself in perimenopause and menopause. Ask yourself, if you had to reverse engineer how you did that, what is one tiny habit that you might want to start introducing now that would support you building muscle? I have a whole video inside the Unstoppable Group's video curriculum where I really break down the math and the science of thermogenesis. Again, I am a science nerd. I really love to educate my audience and really help math and science help my clients burn fat with science-backed strategies, so you're not throwing spaghetti at the wall. One of the biggest things that I think we underestimate is understanding that there are 4 pieces to burning energy, aka burning fat and losing the weight you want. There's your simple basal metabolic rate, which is absolutely decreasing the older you get. There's going to be the thermogenic effect of food, which is why the nutrition that you're eating actually matters. There's going to be NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is why just moving and walking is massively impactful. And then the last is EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis. When you understand that there are actual variables to burn fat, and you can utilize these different success variables to dial up or dial down the levers of these pieces of a success formula, you will start to feel so much more control in your weight loss journey. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. One of the things that I really pride myself on in the Unstoppable Group is we get to customize the different levers of this success formula to fit your life. So I have clients that absolutely hate working out. They don't want to work out. And we basically utilize other success variables. We use other levers to dial up their strategy to burn fat. But for my clients that are thinking about perimenopause, they're entering perimenopause and menopause, and they really want to support themselves in that journey, we get to dial up that part of the lever. We get to apply tiny ways of introducing strength training in small and simple ways that feel simple, fun, repeatable, so you can amplify your results as you enter perimenopause and menopause. And I have clients that are already hitting the gym. They already love working out. They love strength training and cardio. And for those clients, we really focus on the nutrition. A lot of the times what I've noticed, if you're not getting results, but you're exercising, it's because because the other 23 hours of your day that you are not working out is not well dialed. The biggest takeaway that I have for all of you in this episode is that just because you're getting older, just because your hormones are changing, just because you're entering perimenopause and eventually menopause is not a reason that you can't burn fat, lose the weight you want, and create more vitality and fitness for your future. I want all of us listening to this to think about your body, the one that you have for the rest of your life, as your greatest investment. Investing and prioritizing in your brain and body is the number one way that you'll get to show up in the way you want. I have talked with so many of you. I know how hard you have worked over the past many decades to create the life that you are living right now. And I'm here to invite you to amplify your experience. If you have woken up and you feel like I am just not living that dream life that I want, if you're feeling stress and fatigue and having trouble with weight loss, it is likely going to be simply a strategic element that has been missing from your plan. And what we get to do together when we work together in the Unstoppable group is we get to hone in like a dart to a bullseye exactly what it is for you. I was touching on this idea of having a success formula. There's so many variables that I've touched on that will apply in your success formula. I want you to think about what it would be like to have the support of a coach helping you dial up or dial down different levers to fit your life. So you have a custom strategy that actually makes sense. And also to really understand that it's not always easy. It's okay if it's not always easy, that there might be tricky moments, there might be challenging moments, and also be willing to let it be challenging, to have your own back, to prioritize this, because investing in your brain and body is the number one place that you can invest in ever. From now moving forward, I want you to never tell yourself the convenient, convincing, and compelling story that you haven't lost weight because of perimenopause. I know you think you've just been keeping it real, but what we have been uncovering on this podcast episode is that there is actual science and strategy that you can utilize to actually solve the problem. The last thing that I want to say, and I think this probably deserves its own complete podcast episode, is a lot of times I saw this in my practice as a physician, and I see this with my clients, is somehow after the age of 40 and older, or maybe even around 40, you start to really notice the fatigue. You might be noticing a lot of fatigue. And this is simply because you have had decades of stress in your life. So in your teenage years, in your 20s, early 30s, when you were hustling at work, you were trying to, get the A, get the gold star, your adrenal glands have been squirting out cortisol. I want you to really think about the impact of decades of low buzzing or sometimes high squirts of cortisol in your body. After a while, your adrenal glands just get tired. You've been experiencing low buzzing stress, cortisol in your body all the time. It just starts to hit you when you're 40. So it's not only that your hormones have changed. Yes, that's true. That your estrogen levels are changing. Yes, that's true. It's also that you have been perpetually bathing your body in cortisol. This is one of the reasons that I know without a shadow of a doubt that we need a strategy to also burn stress. I cannot wait to really dive into this with all of you in my upcoming masterclass, where we are going to talk about burning fat, burning stress, and dropping drama so that you can start moving the needle on losing the weight you want. You cannot just have a plan on paper to lose the weight you want. We've all tried that. We've all had a plan on paper, and it's the first thing to go when your life gets busy, when life is lifing, when you have a challenge come your way. It's the first thing to go. You have to have a strategy to address your life stresses, because I think that is really what that fatigue is trying to tell you. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode, that you feel a little bit more armed with science, understanding that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can prepare for perimenopause and menopause. It does take some effort. It does take some changes. It does take accepting that your hormones are changing. And also, you can arm yourself with science-backed strategies that really do work. I cannot wait to see you in my upcoming masterclass. It is going to be so good. Make sure you grab your seat over at the unstoppablemombrain.com/masterclass, and I will email you the details. I will see you all next week in my podcast, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.